Hello everyone, my name is Trevor, I go by TheMrTrails, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we'll be going over the Dauntless Experimental test that launched on Friday. If you're not familiar with Dauntless Experimental, it is a public testing platform for Dauntless on PC. As such, this video will contain unreleased content, so consider this your spoiler warning. The main thing that this test was supposed to go over was the Portals feature, which due to some complications is now launching in 1.6.4 rather than in 1.6.2. But we are also given a glimpse at some of the 1.6.2 and 1.6.3 upcoming features. So we are going to be going over some of those today. But first, if you guys enjoyed Dauntless and are not subscribed already, consider subscribing to the channel. Here I post Dauntless content every week. And if you're considering making any purchases through any Epic Games platform, consider using code TheMrTrails. Make sure the A is before the I. And if you've been by the twitch.tv/TheMrTrails, you would know that I haven't been feeling particularly well this past week, and you could probably hear that in my voice, so I apologize for that. But let's jump into this experiment. Alright everybody, welcome to the experiment. There are intentional things of the experiment that we're going to go over today, and then there's the unintentional things that we're going to go over today. So starting off here with the portals, which is the main thing that we are supposed to be testing, you can see right here I actually can't do anything with this portal right here. And I think the reason behind that is only one portal is supposed to spawn on an island at a time, but you can actually see we have all three portal locations spawned in right now. So it looks like when that happens, the other portal locations don't work and you have to actually go to the one that was intended to be there. So I believe I mentioned this in the intro, but the portals are going to be coming in 1.6.4. They were originally planned for 1.6.2. However, they aren't quite ready, as you will see a major reason why. Even though this one is activated, it doesn't actually look like this one works either, so I'm gonna have to go to the other one. So actually none of these ones worked, and I'm gonna have to requeue for another island. On this island here, you can actually see what I'm talking about. So you can see the other two locations, they didn't actually spawn in this time, and that we only have this one location over here, so hopefully this one will work. I did have it work when all three have spawned in before, but I guess at that time it just wasn't having it. So let's see if we can ready up on it here. And we can. Alright, so that's good. So this is actually the second experiment that we've had portals be a part of. Not too much has changed about them, although what has is that it's only escalation behemoths now and not some random events in there as well. And you can see here that it is asking us for a key to go and fight these behemoths. You earn these through escalation 10 to 50s fighting these behemoths. I believe it's like a 20% chance. For some reason that number is very firmly in my mind. Alrighty, and when you jump in, you have this Stargate style portal animation, but then you're transported to the arena of the Keystone behemoth that you have chosen. I chose Nagaris. It's just an easy one that we can do real quick, and I can demonstrate to you guys precisely why these are not quite ready yet. Wait, I have stagger bubbles? How did I get stagger bubbles? And I actually get an Agaris stagger. So you can actually stagger Agaris normally now. Alright, so you might have... So I'll probably show a little clip of it like somewhere, but there was no HP bar on this behemoth in the portal. And then here's the main reason that this feature is not quite ready for the live game just yet. If you hold this, yeah, you just crash. So yeah, portals were pretty much the only thing that was supposed to be added to this experimental, it seems. That's all that was mentioned in our in-game email here. But there are some other things that were added to this experimental, potentially by accident, potentially some of them on purpose, but some of those that were on accident, they might not mind because they would like more feedback on those things that are going to be coming into the game. So we might as well go over these in order of when they're supposed to be coming out. So we have the Elder Behemoths and the Faction of the Future here that is going to be coming out in 1.6.2, and some of that has slipped into this experimental. And as you might expect, we have a similar sort of skill tree with the faction of the past. So in the left side of the skill tree, we have the Path of the Elder Slayer. It's the same thing. It has upgrades that improve your efficiency at battling Elder Behemoths. But on the right, we have the Faction of the Future's unique skill, which is the Path of the Radiant Drone, and this is pretty interesting. All right, and what this Radiant Drone is going to do is this thing right here is going to be following you around when you're in hunting grounds and in escalation, and what it does is when you take damage or you've dealt enough instances of damage, it unleashes a blast of radiant energy. And I was curious as to how this was going to compete with the faction of the past, but we can kind of see how it achieves that here. So the faction of the past would be better in a longer fight where you have to dodge a lot of attacks, but this would be better in a fight where you don't have to dodge pretty much at all. And the drone does have some pretty interesting upgrades that you can make to it, such as a molten heart when you reach maximum stacks of the core charges, as well as a random cascade buff that can spawn when you reach maximum stacks. And something I find cool about the drone here is that even though it's supposed to be a retaliation type feature, you know, it'll go off whenever you take damage, it still incentivizes you to not take damage, as you can get a plus 100% damage buff from the drone when you reach maximum stacks. And then the quest also slipped into here. It's basically the same thing with the Primal Behemoths, but it's the middleman instead of Arcan Drew, and he tells you to slay an Elder Behemoth, and he tells you to unlock the Faction of the Future skill tree. And here we can get our look at the Elder Behemoth here. This is an Elder Hellion. So basically, it'll have shields around it that will follow the behemoth around. They're actually slower than normal, but the intention here is that you have to pick and choose what areas you are actually hitting the behemoth at. Oh. And I crashed. Awesome. Alright, and also coming along with the Elder Behemoths in the 1.6.2 update is a nerf to the Primal Behemoths. Now, you can see here that we've got a Primal Hellion here, but it only has the one pillar. And the pillars are still normal scaling. It was the 10% attack speed, 25% damage if you break this one. But do keep in mind that since you have the Faction of the Past and the Faction of the Future, I do actually have Iceborne on right now, but you can see that I'm not gaining any HP because, you know, this is the healing suppressor. And currently it seems like whenever you kill a Elder or Primal Behemoth, it crashes the game. And then we have a couple of the things that are coming in 1.6.3 that seem to have slipped into this update, including the profile picture and the mastery page of the new Behemoth. So if you don't want to see anything about the new Behemoth, make sure you look away right now. And here we go, we've got the master page for the Chronivore, and you can see it's a pretty interesting looking behemoth. It looks kind of like a manta ray, and what we can take away from the master page, it does have an interrupt, but aside from that, I can tell you guys that there's some very interesting and unique aspects to this fight. And the other thing coming in 1.6.3 that we are getting a glimpse of here, probably by accident, is the new cell, the new pulse cell. And there's two sides of the cell. There's the side that is very dumb and broken, and then there's the side that's just kind of mediocre. So maybe it'll get some retuning before it comes into the live game, but what it does right now is that it will give you a guaranteed crit every few hits. And then at the later ranks, just like Cunning, it will give you extra crit severity. At the current tuning, every 5th hit of the weapon is going to be a critical hit at +6, and that'll come at +15% crit damage, and when you have +3, it'll be every 8th hit is going to be a crit. And in a general sense, the cell itself isn't super overwhelming. However, when you mix it with the Hellion unique effect, that is when it gets very broken. And because the Hellion unique effect activates at a different amount of hits depending on the weapon you're using, we could see this cell being played at several different strengths. For example, we have Sword, Pike, and Strikers getting 8 hits until you get that Hellion unique effect, meaning 8 hits syncs up with Pulse +3. Then for Axe and Hammer, you have your 5th hit for the Hellion unique effect, which lines up with Pulse plus 6. Then you've got Repeaters, which is 10 hits until the Hellion unique effect on the Searing Prism, meaning you would be running Pulse plus 1. And then the Hellion Chain Blades would benefit the least of the Hellion weapons because there's no level of Pulse that lines up with 11 hits. Alright, but let me show you guys the reason that this cell looks to be very, very strong. Doing nothing, just kind of sitting here, you're over 4,000 DPS. And that's pretty broken, you might say. You know, I can spam my Lantern Hold to give us more Embermane Balls, to give us, you know, even more DPS. But I think you get the point. Just sitting here with Pulse and the Hellion UE in sync, it's very, very high damage output. A bit of a caveat to that, though, is that Pulse does not have any sort of cooldown. So you can see, like, the Hellion UE in the top left, you can see has a cooldown, but Pulse doesn't. You can see I still have 6 Pulse stacks. So you do have to get the stacks to line up with each other before you actually start doing your turbo stuff. But yeah, that pretty much covers what we have in the experimental server. If you've got access, go ahead and play around with it. Remember, it's only a PC, and you have to have your Epic Games store set to English. If you guys enjoyed the breakdown and the news update, consider leaving a like on the video, and if you enjoyed Dauntless and are not subscribed already, consider subscribing to the channel. Here I post Dauntless content every week, and we are super duper close to that 10,000 subscriber milestone. And to stay up to date with my content in the best way, both here on YouTube and on Twitch, as well as to stay up to date with any giveaways I'll be doing, join the Discord server in the description. I manually make a post whenever I do anything content or giveaway related. I have been Trevor, I go by the Mr. Trails, and I will catch you guys next time.